Hi, and welcome back to another video. And today I'll be talking about the news that broke today for the North Carolina Senate race for 2026, where we now have the former Congressman, Wiley Nickel, who was running in the Democratic primary for Senate, has now dropped out of this 2026 Senate race to endorse former Governor Roy Cooper. Now, this comes after Roy Cooper, yesterday morning, announced his candidacy for Senate. And now Democrats seem to be falling in line for Roy Cooper. Now, I predicted this, and not just about like my previous video on the Senate race, but in multiple of my videos. I predicted that there probably wasn't going to be much of a Democratic primary challenge for Roy Cooper. That Democrats would probably understand that Roy Cooper is the strongest candidate they could put up against whoever Republican candidate is. Sorry, I almost said John Tillis. And that they're going to end up falling in line against Roy Cooper, and they're going to try and be united against them. And they're going to try and paint the picture that as of right now, the North Carolina Republicans are divided and ununified in a search to find a new Republican nominee to replace John Tillis and try to get that nominee elected to succeed John Tillis and become the next Republican senator. So that is the picture that I believe the Democrats are going to be trying painting right now. Obviously, I think the Republicans are definitely going to have a lot of stuff to come after Roy Cooper with, especially with whoever decides to, run or whoever is the nominee against Roy Cooper. But it's more looking like that we are going to be seeing a matchup between Roy Cooper and Michael Wheatley, the Republican National Committee chairman. It is looking more likely that is going to happen. That is going to be our reality. However, it isn't confirmed yet, right? We still have other candidates that can jump in this race, and maybe switch stuff up. But I highly doubt it. At this point, it looks like that, right? Roy Cooper and Michael Wheatley have the nomination in the bag. As of right now, that's what it looks like. I predict as of now, obviously Roy Cooper probably is going to cruise in this nomination, and with this, campaign suspension for Wiley Nickel, that's what it looks like it's happening. That's what's happening. Roy Cooper is clenching this nomination. He is winning it easily. Now, I don't think the same is going to be happening for Michael Wheatley. I still think he's going to win the nomination, but I think there's going to be more of a primary challenge. And it's probably going to help the Democrats to be able to, once again point the Republicans and say, look, they're divided with their nominee. They can't choose. So I think that's going to happen. And as of right now, with this, with Wiley Nickel dropping out of the race, the Democrats are trying to unify against with Roy Cooper. They're trying to unify with Roy Cooper, and they are trying to stay united in hopes to be flipping this Senate race blue. So, let's read a little bit of this article here. A former congressman will no longer seek an open U.S. Senate seat in North Carolina next year, now that fellow Democrat Roy Cooper is running for the post. Tuesday's announcement by ex-U.S. Representative Wiley Nickel came the day after Cooper, a former two-term governor, kicked off his own campaign to succeed retiring Republican Senator Thom Tillis with a video message. Cooper's past popularity, name recognition, and fundraising ability made him the party's front-runner overnight. Quote, I've seen firsthand his steady bipartisan leadership. He listens, he shows up, and he gets things done, Nickel said while endorsing Cooper and revealing plans to suspend his own Senate campaign. And for so many of us, including me, he's been inspiration to step up and serve. So you really are seeing here that, Nickel is another Democrat that's falling in line with Roy Cooper. The Democrats are uniting with Roy Cooper. I think that, even former candidates here in this race are understanding that Roy Cooper is the candidate to defeat any Republican that runs against him. And if this continues, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting race. But so far, it looks like it's going to be a race between Roy Cooper and Michael Wheatley. And of course, things could shape up, but as of right now, it doesn't look like that's happening, right? We have, this Republican primary. That is going to be very interesting, especially since Thom Tillis isn't going to be running for re-election. Now, Michael Wheatley still not officially in this race, but still, his announcement is pending. And then if we go to the Democratic primary, right, obviously Roy Cooper is now a declared candidate. He was the former governor of Carolina since 2017. to 2025 when he left office. We still have a U.S. representative who is expressing interest in potentials, but however, that doesn't matter. And now you can see here, Wiley Nickel has withdrawn. He has dropped out of the race. And, you know, it really does look here that Roy Cooper probably has this nomination in the bag. Democrats will probably, you know, are already falling in line with him. Now, the Republican primary is very different, right? Michael Wheatley hasn't even announced his candidacy yet, and we already have one candidate that has declared, Don Brown. Now, very low name recognition, but I expect Michael Wheatley, you know, announces his candidacy. He's probably going to get a lot of money, a lot of attention. It'll be very interesting to see, you know, what his advertisements look like, what his campaign logo looks like. I love looking at stuff like that. It'll be very interesting to see what that looks like. I'm very eager to for him to announce his candidacy. I'm very excited for it to happen. But yeah, so as of right now, right, Roy Cooper is quickly inching closer to, you know, easily clinching this nomination, possibly running unopposed, as we now have, you know, Wiley Nickel, who was really the only so far candidate other than Roy Cooper who actually declared, and now, a day after Roy Cooper announces his candidacy, Wiley Nickel drops out of the race and endorses Roy Cooper for this Senate race. Now, we also have some other Democrats that could possibly, you know, also run for the Senate race. If that happens, we could see a very interesting primary, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, are going to make sure that Roy Cooper is the only Democrat that runs in this race, that he easily wins the nomination. I think that there's going to be a big want for the Democrats to look united, especially as being the opposition party, and I expect that this Democratic primary to really not be that interesting. I don't expect Roy Cooper to really face any primary challenges. I don't expect any Democrat to, you know, come in and saying, oh, I'm better than Roy Cooper. You guys want to elect me. I don't think that's going to be happening. I think Roy Cooper's going to be winning this Democratic primary very easily. Now, obviously, Republican primary is a completely different thing, where we already have candidates in. They could drop out when Michael Wheatley, you know, enters the race because he is the current Republican National Committee chairman. And of course, you know, he is announcing by August 3rd, so we still have a bit of way to go until he announces his Senate candidacy. But other than that, really not much else here, you know, other than Thom Tillis, you know, dropping out here. We have some potentials, some expressing interest, and of course, Michael Wheatley's announcement pending for his Senate candidacy. So other than that, that's where the race is so far. And it is getting very interesting. I've been dropping almost daily updates here, but I expect after this, we probably won't have to talk about this race for a while unless we get another candidate that decides to drop out of the race or you know, Michael Wheatley comes in. So my next video on this race will probably be Michael Wheatley entering the race, unless I don't have time for that because my life is very busy. But anyways, yeah, this is how the race is, you know, this is how the race is going. Roy Cooper is, you know, inching closer to easily clinching the nomination. Michael Wheatley about to, you know, enter the race any day now on August 3rd, 2025. And we will see how the Republican primary shapes up when Wheatley announces his campaign. I'm very excited to see, you know, what that looks like, what the polls look like, and I just can't wait. And as for polling, we really haven't gotten any new polling whatsoever. We have some potential polling where, you know, pollsters put Roy Cooper against some Republicans like Laura Trump or Thom Tillis, both people, you know, both politicians, or I should just say people, that will not be running in this race. So that polling really isn't any use of me until we get some, you know, polling with Roy Cooper going against Republicans who definitely are in this race, especially Michael Wheatley. But until then, that is the state of this race, and we still have a lot more, you know, to happen. We still have a lot more candidates to enter, to drop out, and we will see what happens. But until then, that is the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in next video.